is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours, 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation starts right now, taking on the first pitch. First pitch, I believe, a little bit later than typical, 7:20. Crunch time still coming in at 6:15, so you guys got us for 75 minutes. It's myself, Dean Shabelson, joined by Keith Eister. You guys know Keith, as well as Kirkwood. Kirkwood, happy Monday. How are things in your world? It's the All-Star game, like one day on Friday, we had a slate, but now things are, I guess, kind of sort of somewhat back to normal, back to the grind as far as baseball. Things good? Anything of note? Chris?
Cashed my Teoscar Hernandez 13-1 ticket to shout out to Juggalo Nation. Derek, I asked on Twitter, who are we taking? And I think it was Derek that replied, Teoscar. So, and then Eric chimed in. And so he said Teoscar too, but there was no one on the A's, so I didn't really know what to do.
I had Teoscar as well with my bonus bet. So yeah, I wasn't a part of that conversation, but I thought it was a fun flyer.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Did somebody who barely knows MMA ship the MMA the other night?
Barely knows MMA. I rank the expert survey every week.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, for like the last year, like before you started playing recently, right?
Yeah, COVID is the very first time I ever even watched UFC. But yeah, had a nice little
choice of words. Congratulations.
What did you win? This is the first I'm hearing of it. What did you win, Keith? And did you tweet it out? Because it's not official. The money doesn't actually hit your account unless you tweet it. I'm not sure if you tweeted it or not.
I did not tweet it. I dropped it in the MMA Discord, but I think it was a 10-way chop for the main GPP in the UFC card over the weekend.
Was it did you have like a live sweat? Were you watching it? Did you know? Like, I think with MMA, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, you can kind of sort of figure out this is the last fight. If I get X number of points, we're going to get the 10-way chop. Is that what did you know that as it was going on? Was it a strong likelihood? What happened in the last fight?
Yeah, I needed Verna Jandiroba to get at least 91 points in the main event. She was the main event favorite, a very slight favorite, but she was favored. So yeah, the 91 points was honestly a little bit of a sweat. Luckily, she got a second round submission, got 96 points to push us over the top. But yeah, so
she was my big bet, so I smashed that. And they went down to 110, right? But right when it went off. Everybody chases MMA. Like the main event fight always moves a lot one way or the other because everybody's just chasing. Yeah, congratulations, bro. I'm happy to see it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Congratulations coming in from the chat as well. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. You guys are hanging out. They're also excited. They're equally excited for not just your victory, Keith, but Movie Monday. The people love Movie Monday. It's a big thing in the streets. A lot of people were talking about it during the All-Star break. Are you bringing it back? Yes, it is Monday. We're bringing back Movie Monday. And since you guys are here early, we might as well just go ahead and drop the first clue. Shout out to TJ. TJ is doing the producing today. You guys know TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. Really, he's a perfectly fine producer as well. Going to go ahead and drop that first clue momentarily. And
wait a minute.
If the people don't know, go ahead. What do you got, Kirkwood?
He's just one of the best players in Saskatoon, or is he the best player? Didn't he used to be the best player?
It's up for debate.
That's what I always say. It's not up for debate. It's a very clear number one, but Dean likes to besmirch.
God,
well, no, I don't like to speak in definitives. I'm
celebrating I's win. If TJ had a big win, I'd be celebrating that as well. Dean's sitting here and trying to drop TJ down in the Saskatoon whatever.
Dropping him down. Like, tell me I'm one of the best of anything, and I'm impressed. Like, thank you.
Here's the thing. I would love to say, because Saskatchewan, like the whole province, only has a population of 1 million people. I'd love to say I'm the best in Saskatchewan, but that's up for debate. We got Jesse downside of me on Twitter. He's from Saskatchewan, and there's I can't remember who else it is, but I think there's one other really good player from Saskatchewan too.
This is why I had the qualifier.
But they're not in my city. I'm the best in my city, Dean.
All right, so let's start narrowing down to his city, please, going forward.
What about your block? I'm the best DFS player on my block. I can say that.
You run this block. Yeah.
Well, I used to slide in your DMs, Kirkwood, and get those MMA picks. I guess I forgot. I picked a wrong weekend to not do that because it sounds like you had a nice weekend in the MMA streets as well. Let's go ahead and drop that first clue. It has been dropped. It is scrolling in the bottom. It is leaked footage. Leaked footage is the first clue for Movie Monday. And if you're like, well, wait a second, what is even Movie Monday? I know it's Monday, but what I'm aware what movies are. What is this? How does this entail? So you can win yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium if you properly tell us what movie we're talking about with 5 clues. They will be dropped increments of 10 minutes or so, give or take. And you submit your guesses not in the YouTube chat. If you get it right in YouTube, doesn't count. You're just like getting in reps, but it's not official. You got to go ahead and drop in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, jump in the live stream chat channel, and your best guess. Only one guess per clue drop. So there's you cannot MME, you cannot run, no 150 guesses, just running down the old IMDb and firing off every single movie that's ever happened. That does not work. Alex in chat says he's the best DFS player in his den. There you go.
Yeah, we got to celebrate the wins here. It's tough. It's a tough game we play. So like we got to give Mr. Richard the best DFS player in his building. I think that's
how big is that building?
I think it's worth an RG T-shirt or something. We should ship him out a T-shirt.
Yeah, you want to give somebody else some work. You're not doing anything there. You're saying that you're telling somebody else to like put it together and post it.
It's a big corporate. It's a big corporation now. It should be easy peasy.
Theoretically, but then you got to contact somebody. It's a chain of command, I suppose. But
you got to contact Britt, who has a basket of 40 of them just sitting there in his room. That's where
Britt at the RG parties, like he would 2 fistful of T-shirts. He had no remorse. He would anything available. He would be all over. Probably took like 10 shirts, give or take. Hey, you're supposed to like moderation, right? But I'm not trying to call him out. You mentioned his name. And I'm kind of confirming. Britt, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Syracuse, New York. Also, just as a side note. Keith, are you one of the greatest DFS players in all of Arizona? Arizona's a pretty big state.
I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with any other players. I'm sure there are plenty, but I'm unfamiliar with them.
Fair enough. Well, we got to be the best DFS player tonight. It's DFS. We care about tonight and tonight only. Tonight we have a 9-game slate. A game in Coors. Boston's the only team that has a total above 5. The hitting is not spectacular otherwise. Like there's some teams that have team totals 4 and change. Some pretty good pitching as well. Want to get the lay of the land, your screenshot, Keith, before you dive in a breakdown as far as pitchers. But give me your assessment. How are you seeing tonight's 9-gamer?
Yeah, very clear top offense. Boston going into Coors, team total near 6. Nobody else is over 5, like you mentioned. So it gets pretty jumbled up if you don't want to play chalky Red Sox. Some interesting ways to go. It's a pretty strong pitching slate, I would say, even though there's not like any marquee names. I guess you could put Cole Reagan's up there, but there's plenty of upside at pitching, I would say. And I like the pitching a lot better than I do bats that are not Red Sox bats. So I'm just going to eat a lot of chalk at hitting, I believe. And that's going to force me to get a little bit different with the arms. I think there's 8 or so that have a lot of upside, and I'll just be mixing and matching them. Probably going a little bit under on the top owned guys so that I can go overweight on some of the lower owned guys. But mixing it up at pitching, I think, is the way to go. Bats seem pretty clear and obvious as far as the top one anyway.
So there's 18 dudes throwing balls tonight. You have 8 probably in your pool of 4. Is it 40 lineups you're running?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, we'll talk about those in a second. That's a pretty deep pool, but I do think doing my rankings today with pitchers, I can see you getting to 8. We'll have that conversation. How about yourself, Kirkwood? You make the 1 main lineup, right? That's what we're doing, 1 main lineup. A little bit different as far as the thought process.
That's what we're doing. That's what we got tonight. I don't really like tonight's slate, to be honest with you.
I don't love it either.
Yeah. I certainly am not in love with my Red Sox. Just had a tough series in LA. This should be a nice bounce back for them, but they're so bad. They are so bad against lefties, period. You bring them in out of the bullpen, you start against them, they just are so bad. They strike out a full 2% higher, I think, than any other team against left-handed pitching. Granted, they get Gomber now in Coors, but it wouldn't shock me. I have some interest, I hate to say it, but pitching Gomber in this spot tonight. But
you're not going to play him in your 1 main lineup, though. You think he's playable. You're not.
Well,
he's not
you love to say this, and we're lucky. I'm lucky I didn't have a show because I played Griffin Canning. I did a Canning and Cabrera where my main was.
How did Canning work out for you?
Not too good, but it was nice to see that at least he was hurt. He left the game because they came out.
It's nice to see he was hurt.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's like MMA.
There was an excuse. There was an excuse, is what I'm saying.
In MMA, like the guy you pick loses you money. At least he got his face punched in.
No,
so
there's an injury is a material change. I didn't know about that. Same thing with like in UFC when a fighter they say after he won or loses, he gets on the mic and says, they don't know this, but I had a staph infection. I had this. I had messed up my shoulder in training. And I couldn't train. And material change. So it wasn't my fault. It was the information was not out there. But
fair enough.
So I mean you don't have to call me chicken, like a Marty McFly reference.
Nobody
play some betting. Nobody calls me chicken.
Or yellow if you're talking about the third movie. Spoiler alert. Yeah, when they went to the Old West. Boston lineup, by the way, I just think it's worth talking about. We're not doing like stacks just yet, but just it feels like there's some potential real bad chalk there, and also like high pinch hit risk. Jamie, Westbrook, high pinch hit risk.
It just came out. The lineup just came out.
It's not and like Devers strikes out a lot versus lefties, but Gomber's kind of reverse splitsy neutral. Just if you want to go counterpoint kind of thing. Duran, obviously one of the better hitters. Devers, one of the best hitters, both lefties. The power, of course, for O'Neill. Interesting. They have Wong third and O'Neill fifth. Is that something they've been doing, or is that new? I just noticed that now. That seems
he's been hovering around like fifth or sixth or fourth, potentially even sometimes, but only against lefties. But I'm fine with that. I mean, he's a catcher he's got a little bit of pop, and he'll steal some bags too. So I don't mind him batting third. Ref Snyder is just, I mean, he got the scratch yesterday. I always hate Ref Snyder, but his numbers aren't terrible. And then Romy, I mean, yeah, Westbrook is like just an auto out, although his numbers don't look terrible either.
I'm also thinking about pinch hit stuff, because when the righty comes in, he's probably getting the hook.
Yeah,
and he might only get 2 at bats.
They didn't play Dom, which I'm kind of happy with. They finally stopped playing Dom versus lefties. They need Casas back bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There was a rough update on Casas over the weekend, wasn't there? Sounds like maybe late August or September until he gets back.
Yeah.
I drafted some mid-season DraftKings best ball stuff, and Casas was one of my last round flyers in the hopes that he's going to come back. So yeah, hopefully you catch him in the last month or so. I did see Lewis. Lewis is going to be on a rehab, so we'll be getting him back soon for Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, weather issues potentially with Minnesota. I just went ahead and dropped this in chat for the people. Kevin Roth, chief meteorologist, of course, will be on in about an hour or so. Orange yellow, so it's orange yellow for Minnesota tonight. That's really the only alarming one. Yellow green in Atlanta. You can look at the rest at your own leisure as far as weather, but we'll get an update from Roth later on. We'll see if that's dicey or not. Not my favorite pitching options there, but I think they're both possible. Bailey Ober, Rangers, Suarez. We'll dig into it in a second, but just kind of want to keep an eye on that. Trout, I think, also on a rehab stint. Speaking of injuries, Ozzy Albies, if you guys missed it, the Braves, everybody's falling apart for them. They lost Fried. I don't know how serious that is, but Fried went on the IL. They lost Albies. They called up Nacho Alvarez, their top hitting prospect. I think he's number 5 as far as organization. The other ones are pitchers, but he's their number 1 hitting prospect. I don't think he has a price anywhere. Keith, do you see him in the pool? I don't think he is, because I see he's instead of yellow, he's white on the backdrop, suggesting that. And I went on DK, I couldn't find it. I'm not sure if he's in FanDuel's pool. I would imagine not. Just want to get it out there with that Atlanta lineup taking another hit. Albies will be out for, they're saying, 2 months or so. So kind of, sort of, somewhat the rest of the season. A big hit for Atlanta. All right. Let's talk pitchers. Keith, you said you have 8 in your pool. Your boy Cole Reagans is throwing baseballs tonight. He's got to be in your pool. No Christopher Morel, no Ryan McCann, by the way, as far as lineups coming out today. Speaking of Keith and your Cubs, no Morel, but you got Master Bueni in there. There you go. Get excited about that for sure. But Keith,
do you know his nickname? Do you know his nickname?
The Master of his own domain.
I can't say it on the show. Sorry.
I know where you're going with this, but yes, I had a follow up that I edited out as well. But this suggests that whenever you say in previous times, you're just making up the nicknames. You're consistently just making them up.
No, I use official nicknames.
Oh, okay. So what's his official name? Never mind.
I can't. It's still I can't say it on the air.
we can't say his official nickname. All right, Keith, you got 8 pitchers in the pool. Your boy Cole Reagans, of course, he's throwing baseballs tonight. Not the best matchup, facing Arizona, pretty contact heavy. What are you seeing as far as pitchers that are hitting your pool tonight? Who do you want to get well over the field, well under? We'll talk about some ownership stuff in a second.
Yeah, Reagans is definitely the guy that I want to be well over the field on. Like you said, it's kind of a tough matchup. Arizona makes a ton of contact. They're much better against left-handed pitching than they are against right-handed pitching. But we've talked about Reagan splits a bunch before. He strikes out far more righties than he does lefties. Strikeout rate over 31% against righties. Arizona did run out 2 lefties, but he still has 7 righties in that lineup. So while they do make a fair bit of contact, I still think Reagans has plenty of upside here. He's the 5th highest owned pitcher, which is kind of surprising to me. I really like the price tag on DraftKings, especially $9K. I feel like he should be a $10K pitcher. So a little bit of a price discount, a little bit of an ownership discount on Reagans. I can live with a high contact offense on the other side. I think he has stuff good enough. He can still get you 7 or 8 strikeouts, even in a tougher matchup. So I do like Cole Reagans a ton. I think chalkiest pitcher on the slate is looking like Hunter Green. Love this matchup against Atlanta. You mentioned the Albies thing. They have so many injuries. The lineup is just loaded with strikeouts. 8 hitters over 22.5% in this lineup. Hunter Green has been better this year about allowing home runs. So the power risk is a little bit diminished. I don't love the ownership number on Hunter Green, but I do really like the matchup. And I like the matchup a ton for Bryce Miller as well, who has a good price tag. He doesn't have the longest leash in the world, but because of the matchup, I think he has the upside. So I do agree with the chalky pitchers, but I don't think I will be playing them over the field just so that I can do some different things a little bit lower in the pricing tiers.
You mentioned Green, a little bit less volatile than he used to be as far as the strikeouts and home runs, a little bit more stable, but he's also the guy, like, typically I don't love when he's super, super chalky, but I totally get it. Speaking of that Atlanta lineup, it's diminished. 36% on DK. Did pull up the projections for Nacho Alvarez as far as striking out in the majors. According to, Steamer's got him projected to strike out around 22% of the time. AAA is struck out at 15%. Really patient, too. 13% walk rate in AAA. Steamer's got him projected for 9.7% for what it's worth. And Green also has that spectacular leash as well. Miller, 31%. Tanner Houck in cores at 21%. Interesting sort of dynamic. I always look at the slate as a whole, and Houck this year, ground ball guy, does not give up home runs. He's given up the fewest homers in all of baseball, not all of baseball, in this slate. 0.38 homers per 9. Who's given up the most? Well, the pitcher on the other side in the same game, 1.63 homers per 9, Austin Gomber. Houck, 24% fly balls, tons of ground balls there for Tanner. So that's one of the reasons why those homers are subdued, and certainly the 6.3% homer to fly ball. That does not hurt either. Kirkwood, your thoughts as far as pitchers? Is there anybody you're clearly like, this is the guy, and it's a rotating cast of one of these 3 or 4 that will be your SB2? Are you locked in? Is it like 2 of these 7? Where is your pool at as far as pitchers tonight?
I like what Keith was saying, but I think for me, I think I'm just going to go the Hunter Green and Blake Snell route and just hope for Ks. Snell almost threw a no-hitter the other night. I mean, he looked amazing, and he was like this must be his first efficient start of his career where he went so deep with and only 80 pitches. I don't know. I liked what I saw. I think that there's, it's really the Dodgers. It's just all about the first half of their lineup, right? If you can get through that, these other bats aren't so bad. So, and when he's on his game, the strikeouts will come. So I think that's the pairing for me. But I'm open to changing my mind at this point. I do kind of like Tanner Houck. I do. If I get it's going to take some convincing, but I could get on Austin Gomber for $5K. I'm telling you. I mean,
it doesn't seem necessary though, because the pitchers are kind of cheap tonight. That's one.
And then there's no like huge bat spot. I mean, the Red Sox are the bat spot tonight. So
yeah. I mean, you're basically rostering him if you just don't play Boston. That's kind of one way of rostering him, essentially, without actually rostering him. Just don't play Boston. I don't know what your plan is. We'll talk about that soon enough, but Like they're going to be the most popular stack on the board pretty clearly. Do we want to go ahead and drop clue number 2 to the people? Let's go ahead and drop clue number 2 for Movie Monday. Clue number 1, it's scrolling at the bottom. It is leaked footage. Clue number 2, dropping momentarily. It is, well, what do you know? It's Saskatchewan. Of course it is. Why would it not be Saskatchewan? Clue number 2 happens to be Saskatchewan. It's almost like you think you're making it on the fly. We're not. It is Saskatchewan. Clue number 1, leaked footage. Clue number 2, Saskatchewan. Tell us what we were talking about in the Discord, the live stream chat channel. First, to answer the question correctly, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. All right. The interesting one, you kind of mentioned it, is the Snell situation. You're getting a discount as far as the price, too, both on FanDuel and on DK. 7.5 on DK. Finally put together a good start, like you said, going into the break. This Dodger lineup, totally front-loaded. A couple of their best hitters are lefties as well. Not that Ohtani and Freeman can't hit lefties, but, Snell left on left, a little bit better than left on right. 10%, I think he's really interesting for tournaments. I'm curious, Keith, you're running 40 lineups. It's not hard to get over that. Are we coming in over at 10%?
Yeah, well over 10%. Like you said, he's too cheap for what he is. Like we know what we're signing up with Blake Snell. He's probably going to walk too many guys, but there are not many guys that you can get for 7,500 that have double-digit strikeout upside. The matchup against the Dodgers is scary, sure, but they still strike out enough where I'm totally fine taking shots on a cheap Blake Snell. So I'm definitely well over the field on Snell.
All right. And I'm not sure. You mentioned his name, Kirkwood. How do you feel about rostering him on your one main lineup? It's like, obviously it's not fun to watch him pitch when he loses control, but, he also has the ability to drop 9Ks.
Right, that's the way I'm going, right? He's a favorite to be in my one lineup tonight. It's just chasing strikeouts. So really there's like 3 really high strikeout guys. That's Snell, Reagans, and Green. And so that's the way I'm gonna play. You could play Arrighetti for the matchup. And it's with him, he could walk. I mean, he's got a 12% walk rate, which is horrible. He usually has done pretty well in some of his good matchups. This is a good matchup. If he doesn't have command with his fastball, he's dead. If he does have command, then he gets rolling with all of his secondary pitches and stuff. So I could see going that way. I mean, if I needed some savings, there's not a ton of savings to be had, but I mean, those are I'm pretty much right. Those are the guys I'm considering. If you maybe by the end of the show, I'll have some more. We can talk about Lorenzen just because of matchup, but I'm sure you guys don't like him. I mean, Cheese absolutely hates him, but
it doesn't seem necessary. But the White Sox that they're rolling out these days is really, really so bad, and it's getting worse. They added Senzel. They added a Baldwin, Brooks Baldwin. And also, they're probably going to sell off Luis. It's going to get worse, right? That Pham probably goes. Robert probably goes. We'll see. Stay tuned. Maybe they use they lose the young. We care about today and today only, but just sort of.
They're going to get rid of Robert.
Possibly. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. It's like an all. Are they going to get rid of Crochet? Maybe if you can really fully stock, the cupboard, and come back in a couple of years. I don't.
What's Crochet gonna do? I mean, is he gonna be a starter? Or are they gonna? Because his arm. He should have concerns with work.
Well, they're going to shut him down. If they don't trade him, they're going to shut him down. I think it's one of those two things.
Put him in the bullpen.
I think the most interesting thing is when they.
No, I'm talking about like the whoever trades for him. I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, what is their plan? Like, if Baltimore were to trade for him, would they shut him down for a month to kind of keep his innings down and then ramp him back up?
Biggest frauds in baseball, Dean. They're the biggest frauds in baseball.
I don't know why what did the Baltimore Orioles do to you? I don't know why you hate the Baltimore Orioles. They're like one of the most fun teams to even watch as like a fan that doesn't really have a team. And they're in the playoffs. I'm rooting for them over like pretty much anybody, as fraudulent as you want to make them out to be. I don't know, but I would imagine no team is trading for him and then just icing him for the rest of the year. Like that doesn't make any sense. So there would be some kind of plan. But David Price, remember David Price when he was a rookie? He came out of the bullpen for Tampa. They kind of kept his innings down. Would come in for an inning or two, that kind of thing in the playoffs. I don't. Do you have any thoughts on this, Keith? Any insights? Any speculation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the White Sox should be moving everybody. Not only is their major league roster atrocious, but they have probably the worst farm system in all of baseball as well. So they need some sort of talent in that organization. It's going to take them years to rebuild. So by the time they're anywhere near competing again, Crochet and Robert will be free agents anyway. So they either have to pay them. It makes sense to try to acquire some more young talent that they can control for many years beyond the couple that they have Crochet and Robert for. So it totally makes sense for them to move them. As far as what to do with Crochet, I think you just put him on a strict limit up until the playoffs and then just kind of unleash him. Like, it's going to cost so much to acquire him. I don't think you're trading for him and then just moving him to the bullpen. I don't know. It's a very difficult situation because he's definitely going to come up against an innings limit. But he's like, if he's healthy, he's one of the most valuable arms in the game. So I don't know, very, very tricky situation there.
What about Lorenzen? Is he in your pool? Like, he's not great, but are the White Sox terrible enough? I think I would just rather play Arrighetti if I'm in that price point. I'd rather play Snell if I'm in that price point. So for me, it's a no.
Yeah, I'm exactly what you just said at the end there. That's where I'm at. I would rather play Arrighetti, the high strikeouts of Oakland. I have plenty of interest in the Oakland Bats as well because of that walk rate that Kirkwood was talking about. But Arrighetti has an above average strikeout rate for under 8,000. I'm fine chasing that against a high strikeout lineup like Oakland. We talked about Snell already. And then there's another interesting name. Tobias Myers, I think, is interesting as well. This Cubs lineup has been pretty brutal here. They strike out plenty. Myers down at 7,200. Like, I would play all three of those guys before even thinking about Lorenzen. There's no upside for Lorenzen. I feel like there's way more upside with the other three.
The other thing is Weather Edge is telling us that it's a really good environment to throw baseballs. 137 previous games, 75 degrees, 4 miles per hour, wind coming in. 64 is the old dew. I threw out the dew there for you, Kirkwood. 20%, I'm rounding up, 19.3% hit as far as homers in those previous games, and a 5.9% hit as far as runs. So the offense not favored in Chicago today. Also, Christopher Morel's got a lot of power, so he's not in that lineup, and it's not the best Chicago lineup. Horner, Bush, Suzuki, Happ. They're still waiting for Bellinger to come back, obviously. Tauchman, Swanson, Miles, Amaya, and PCA, Kerr Armstrong in the 9-hole. I do agree. He's also in that pool of like the 7K guys. I would also play Fetty over Lorenzen on the other side in that game. Now, I'm probably not going to play him, but if I was to have to pick one of those pitchers, Lorenzen versus Fetty, I'd probably go Fetty as well. Anybody else? Did we miss anybody? All your 8 guys acknowledged. Keith, Tyler Anderson. I'm just not a believer. I know you're supposed to throw pitchers against Seattle. I know he was an all-star, but he's also pretty fraudulent if you got to dig in on his numbers. The regression monster should be knocking on that door. Go ahead.
We've been waiting for that regression monster for a long time on Tyler Anderson, it feels like. But I totally get what you're saying. His xFIP and his – I mean, I don't know how he does it. He throws
he's got
88 miles an hour.
He's got like one of the best changeups in baseball.
Yeah, his changeup is filthy. I do agree with you there.
He's not a good DFS. I mean, that's the angle tonight. But I hate when it is Seattle, but I hate when everyone's saying like he's bad. He's a good pitcher. At least in my opinion.
His ERA estimators say he's bad.
He's got a 5.09 SIERA.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he's got an ERA 2.97, and good for him. 2.28 BABIP, that's not going to stick. 83% left on base.
I'm telling you, this guy, he can with his changeup alone, he can mow down lineups.
Yeah, he does generate a lot of soft contact, which is a skill that's hard to quantify. So I agree with Kirkwood that he's not as bad as the estimators say he is. But
he's not as good as his ERA. It says he is.
I agree with that also, yes.
There's a lot of wiggle room in the middle, like two points, basically. 2.97 ERA, 5.09 SIERA. Also, J-Rod not playing, right? Is he out for a while? I don't know, what is the severity of his injury?
He said day to day, but it didn't look. He looks like he just rolled his ankle. I guess. I would be shocked.
He's not in the lineup.
Yeah, I would be shocked.
Crawford, Robles gets the 2 spot. Polanco, Big Dumper, Garver, Moore, Haniger, Rojas, and Clase. They also cut the first baseman. I'm losing his name already. I forgot him. He was terrible this season, so it makes sense.
Tyler
France.
There you go.
Ty France.
Oakland, by the way, has been smashing of late. I don't know if Eric's been taking down some tournaments with A's. I've been playing a fair bit of A's also, and they were also on the road. They're back in Oakland. I think it's an interesting. You can play Oakland. You can also play Arrighetti. We'll talk about that when we get the stacks. But I'm fine with Arrighetti. He's a guy that's been a little bit unlucky if you want to kind of go the other way as far as looking for some positive regression. Yeah, the regression monster needs to get like some gets like Google Maps or something to find Tyler Anderson. I don't know why he can't seem to find him for whatever reason, but soon, theoretically, that will be happening. Who do we miss, Keith, as far as pitchers? Was he one of them, Tyler Anderson, that's potentially in your pool?
No, I'm not playing Tyler Anderson. Even against the Mariners, I don't see him getting a bunch of strikeouts. Reynaldo Lopez is a name that we haven't talked about. Cincinnati strikes out a bunch. I think he's overpriced for what he is. I think he's been a little bit fortunate this season. Another guy who's due for some regression, but he's probably a slightly above average pitcher at this point in his career. I don't like the price tag, but he's totally fine. I think there's upside in this matchup against Cincinnati. And then the other guy, and it's just an ownership play. Like, I hate the matchup, but Ranger Suarez is a really talented pitcher who nobody's playing today. Minnesota has been really good against lefties, so it's a brutal matchup. But I mean, we're talking about 5% ownership on a really good starting pitcher. So I can get over the field on that pretty easily.
And again, reminder, keep an eye on that as far as weather too. We saw orange, yellow. Let me see if Roth has updated that by chance. But last I saw, orange, yellow in Minnesota. So keep an eye on that. Ground ball savants. Not another guy that's just not giving up a lot of home runs this year is Ranger Suarez. All right. Anything else of note as far as pitchers, Kirkwood? We do have a winner for Movie Monday, by the way. We got a winner. We'll shout them out in a second. We'll go ahead and play out the string and drop the clues for funsies. But we do already have officially got a winner in the Discord channel. I'll shout them out in just a second. But let's go ahead and drop clue number 3. Clue number 3 is Wham. Wham is clue number 3.
Brokeback Mountain?
Footage. It is not. If it was, you would have just spoiled the game. But it's not. It's not Brokeback Mountain. League footage, Saskatchewan, and Wham. And we'll knock out the next couple of clues. We'll just kind of run them in there so you guys can play along at home. I won't spoil it just yet, but yeah, I see a lot of the guesses. It's not Harry and the Hendersons that Monster is suggesting. It's not Fargo, according to D-Rock. It's not Bret Hart from Gator Nation. I think Bret Hart is Canadian. I know he's Canadian. Maybe he's from Saskatoon. That was the guess there. I don't know what movie Bret Hart would have starred in. I don't know if he did star in a movie. Not Canadian Bacon. But yes, a lot of guesses being submitted there. But do want to give a shout out to Razzles Dazzles, who got the winner. We'll reveal that soon enough. We did have a guest ranker too, not a guest ranker, but a guest movie Monday constructor in TJ, and TJ will explain that in just a second as far as how it all made sense. All right, Keith, give me the summary as far as pitchers. What do you want to tell the people? They just tuned in right now. They don't want to rewind. They don't want to hear us talk about pitchers for 20 minutes. They want a minute on pitchers. What do you got for them?
Okay. For the price, I think Hunter Green and Bryce Miller are the top two options. They both have outstanding matchups. Atlanta's lineup is watered down. There's a lot of strikeouts there. Bryce Miller gets the Angels, who have been just atrocious against right-handed pitching this season. My personal favorite is Cole Reagans. The matchup is holding the ownership down to a point where I want to be well over the field on his ownership. Just chasing his 31% plus strikeout rate against righties, 7 righties in that lineup. And then you can mix and match a lot of the stuff below that. Blake Snell is really interesting with the price tag. The strikeout upside is very good there, even though it's a tough matchup against the Dodgers. Eric Getty has a great matchup against Oakland, mixing him in. Tobias Myers for the cheap price tag, have a decent amount of him as well. And then sprinkling in guys like Tanner Houck, Reynaldo Lopez, and Ranger Suarez.
What is your biggest stand as far as being over and your biggest stand as far as being under, as far as current ownership projections?
Biggest overstand is on Reagans and Snell. At least double the field on Reagans for me, and probably triple, maybe even 4x the field on Blake Snell if that ownership really comes in at 10%. I'm not really going terribly underweight on any one single pitcher, but just slightly underweight on the higher owned guys like Green, Miller, Houck and Lopez. I'll be like 5% under the field on those guys.
Lopez 20%, Houck 21%. I feel like that might come in a little bit lower just because cores, but obviously Colorado not very good. Extreme hitters umpire. People like this stuff. Extreme hitters umpire in cores tonight. Extreme hitters umpire for Bailey Ober for Minnesota for Ranger Suarez. Extreme hitters umpire also for Eric Fetty. Let's see. Michael Lorenzen, extreme hitters umpire, extreme pitchers umpire. Ooh, extreme pitchers umpire for Tyler Anderson. He's going to get away with it again, isn't he?
All right, let's go back. Let's go back here. All right. He has a he's got a top 5 swinging strike rate on the slate. Tyler Anderson and a sub 17% K rate. Do you think maybe he's getting unlucky with strikeouts?
You could make that argument if you want to. His walk rate's almost 10%. That's a problem.
Which on this slate is like normal.
There's a lot of big walk rates. Arrighetti at 12%, Lorenzen 11.8%, Hogan Harrison 11%. 9.9 for Hunter Green. Not a lot of control. There's no George Kirby on this slate. Who's got the best walk rate on this slate, actually? Tanner Houck at 5.5%. Suarez 5.7%. Gomber 6%. All right. Anything you want to add, Kirk? What as far as pitchers?
No, I just this is what I'm my stance with Blake Snell. I think tonight is the night you have to play Blake Snell. I think he's going to be under-owned for what he should be, unless I'm a little worried about high stakes. I think he's going to get a lot of love there. But he went on the IL, right? He comes back. He had one start, which was just like his first start back, and then the next start was where he just really excelled and did it all on 80 pitches. Like, there's a chance he made a mechanical change during his time off. And he's back to like Cy Young Blake Snell. So I think and the Dodgers aren't as scary as the name says they are. That back half of that lineup is pretty weak. So I'm just going to go on saying that like tonight is Blake Snell night.
And if you're playing single entry stuff, and that's kind of the streets I'm in, I'm thinking about if I'm playing Boston, like I probably shouldn't play Boston with Hunter Green and Reagans or whatever. Like maybe play Snell, and just that's one way to have your Boston lineup be a little bit different. And typically the more popular pitcher is going to be more popular in single entry stuff, and maybe I can get Snell at like 8% or 9%.
Yeah, I think that's not going to be correct, but we'll see. I just have.
You think he's going to be more popular? Just our numbers.
That's what I think. I hope he's not. Because I'm probably going to roll with it, but I just have this feeling he's going to be a way over and like higher stakes stuff. Because he's cheaper, 7,500. He's coming off the good start, and he's got the strikeout stuff. So.
Yeah, if he was 9K, then it will be held down. But like it's all kind of built in. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to play Snell in my single entry main lineup. But yeah, if everybody else is doing that, it's tricky. Last time we got an ownership update was 15 minutes ago. Let's see if it changes. But yeah, Green at 36. I like Green plenty, and that Atlanta lineup is vulnerable. He's got a long leash. Miller 31, and then it's just pretty congested. 21 Houck, which I think is going to be lower. Maybe some of that goes to Snell. And maybe also it matters like what happens in Minnesota, because if that game rains out or it's at least dicey, which that it appears to be at least dicey right now, those ownership percentages could be shuffling around a little bit as well. All right, let's go ahead and talk about stacks today. Or I don't know, you tell me, TJ. Should we go ahead and knock out Movie Monday for the people? Do you want to explain it to them? I know we only dropped 3 clues. Is it something we can kind of bounce back and forth? What's easier for your life, TJ?
Let's keep the clues going as the show goes on and switch to some tiers.
Okay, so we can go ahead and tell the people right now. Clue number 4. And again, this has already been we already have a winner, but we'll just do it for fun. If you're playing at home, clue number 4 is Soldier of Fortune. Soldier of Fortune. Leaked footage, Saskatchewan, Wham, Soldier of Fortune. All right, gonna do stacks in just a second. Today's stack category, in honor of producer TJ, I was thinking about fun words said by Canadians. Fun words when Canadians say it. Keith, Chris, chat, let me know what are the words you think of. We think of like fun words when you hear Canadian, like, and I understand it's regional, it's a big country, and they all don't sound the same. But there's some like generalizations, right? Just like there's a general American accent. Is there anything that kind of comes to mind? It's like, oh yeah, that's I definitely know that person's Canadian since they said that word.
A is like number one.
Okay. Like
or at least by
AYE?
usage. At least by the
About is right there also.
What
What
is
is
it?
it?
About
A boot? A boot. Yeah, a boot. What are you talking about?
Yeah, maple syrup, Eric. No, that's what they produce. They don't really just go around. I don't think they do. I've been to Canada, small sample size. Yeah. Is that an insult? That
you know
word?
what? I don't recognize anything from TJ. Any accent really.
Yeah, but if we're gonna have TJ come in and say it, if he's willing to participate. But there are there's been some suggestions here in chat. Yeah, Tim says offense. I think they say offense. I could be wrong. But can you guys see that board, by the way? Is it possible, TJ, you make that a little bit bigger? Is that a little bit tricky for you?
I think it's decently big, but I can make it I can make it pull up bigger. The problem is it does it with everything, and so it'll mess with my lineup HQ stuff, but that's okay. I can zoom it in. Yeah, the one that comes out for me quite a bit is sorry. That's the one I say with the fairly Canadian accent. About, I think I say pretty normal.
Were you going out of your way to say about, or like, because you've certainly heard other Canadians say like a boot?
I think that's an East Coast thing.
Okay.
I if you can't see, I adjusted the thing a little bit because I can't believe we forgot A does have to be on the list, so I put that third. And then I adjusted it so like how do you think number 4 should be pronounced?
Pasta.
Yeah, that's how I'd say too, pasta.
But you've heard it say pasta. Pasta.
Yeah, some people say here pasta. Yeah, that's true. Some people here say pasta. The O's one is the one that I didn't either know or think was Canadian. The like process versus process. I've only ever heard people here say process, but I also feel like I've heard Americans say process. I think that's just one people. I think that's just one that people just all over the place say. Sorry, I'm having to ban people from the YouTube chat right now. So
what they do?
Some trollers coming in. And then what was the other one that we were considering? I feel like I just say words pretty normal.
Yeah, process was one that I had on the list. Tomorrow. How do you say tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay, but I've heard that one be like tomorrow.
Sorry is really the only one that gets me. I always do emphasize the O in it.
Other ones being thrown out in chat. Z is the last one. And did you guys know this? I don't know if you guys know this, but the letter Z is called Z in Canada. Did you guys know this? Not the non-Canadians? Kirkwood?
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Isn't it French? I think that's where it comes from, France, right?
It's in France, like so. French and the UK English both say Z, and we overlap with both of those two things. So, like often when I go to the States and I'm like checking into a hotel or something, and they'll ask for my last name, I'll be like ZWARYCH. I have to like correct myself because
like if you're singing the alphabet, XYZ, it's like
XYZ.
XYZ. Yeah, which is just. Somebody told me that, like a Canadian told me that like 10 years ago. I was like, what? It led to a good fight. Like I didn't believe that was a real
for
thing,
what it's worth, it's not like that's not a Canadian thing. It's United States is the only place that says Z.
Yeah. It's like our metric system for words or for letters, I suppose, right? We're still holding on. All right. But yes.
We have a lot of time for shenanigans, right? We have plenty of time, right?
Oh, we got 30 minutes. Crunch time. Do you want to introduce? That was kind of sort of so much shenanigans. You want more?
Saying America? I was just thinking, should we talk about politics at all? And Sleepy Joe is, or...
We should probably. What happened? Is anything?
The chat will go too crazy. Don't make me boot you, Kirkwood. I don't want it today. Steve's gonna for the week.
You're gonna boot me?
I'm gonna boot you. Steve's gone for the week. Don't make me this job tougher. I'm on crunch time today too. Come on, I'm still building my line.
I know. I said one comment one time, and I got like 4, like something about Trump one time. Chat just went ballistic.
Who could have foresaw that? TJ, by the way, did you have any thoughts? You said you're making some lineups. Anything different as far as your if you want to chime in as the fourth person, pitching wise? Did you have any big thoughts or any overarching thoughts?
I'm fading Bryce Miller today just based on ownership. I think he's going to do fine, but I think he's likely to be in that 15 to 20 range, and I would rather get it from somewhere else at some lower ownership. So I'm fading Bryce Miller, and I too am heavy on Reagans and Snell.
All right, lineup wise, looks like we're still waiting for Milwaukee, unless it just dropped. We're still waiting for Houston, still waiting for the Angels, the Dodgers, and San Fran. Unless we're getting those, no, yeah, still 5 out there. We're kind of waiting to come. All right, now we have 9 games, 18 teams. We're going to go ahead and go game by game as far as ranking each team on where we're going to put them on the board. If you guys are new, piece it together all the way up the top. That's the stacks we like. The ones at the bottom, not so much. The first game we're going to talk about, Keith, you're going to go first. It's Ronaldo Lopez taking on Hunter Green. Hunter Green, the most popular pitcher as of right now on the slate in Atlanta. That Atlanta lineup, we talk about how it's weakened. No Albies, of course, no Acuna. All throughout the up and down injuries for Atlanta. Their team total still just above 4. Cincinnati's got a team total of 3.6. The rookie that keeps banging out homers is not playing today, and for some reason his name is lost on me, but he is not. Rhines? Is that Rands? Rhines?
Hines with an H.
Hines.
Reese
Okay.
first. Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I was taking the first letter.
Guy's an American hero.
I
had a great week at DFS just playing him for 2K, or then got 2,800.
It's gonna be out of the league in like 2 years.
He's like the Punisher, right?
Aristides, Aquino, yeah. He's got to be playing baseball somewhere, right? Where is he playing baseball? Overseas? He can still mash. All right, Cincinnati, Atlanta. Where do you have these teams as far as the tiers?
Yeah, I said Lopez is probably due for some regression. I just don't think it's coming today. This Reds lineup is not very talented. They strike out too much. I'll play some De La Cruz as a one-off, just a spend up to be different type of thing, but I'm not interested in stacking against Lopez. So I'll go all the way down in Zed with Cincinnati. Low team total, tough matchup against Lopez. The Braves with that watered down lineup is not really something to be excited about either. The leverage against Hunter Green is certainly a game theory element here. I do like some one-offs here, but again, I'm not in love with the stack. Green has been much better about the walks and the home runs this season, so not as volatile as he has been in the past. I have the Braves down in Pasta.
By the way, Aristides Aquino is playing in the Mexican League currently for the Diablos Rojas. So there you go. He's still mashing baseballs. I wonder, is it all of Mexico?
With Kenny Powers?
I think Kenny Powers is officially retired now, I'm pretty sure, but he did have a run down there. Remember like when they played baseball in Mexico City, the elevation was crazy? Is that the entire country? Is every game like Coors? I don't know. It'd be interesting as far as playing DFS there, but you tell me, Kirk, whether we agree, do we disagree? Any issues with the Keith's rankings of Atlanta and Cincinnati?
Yeah, the only thing that gets me on these guys, so I like the pitchers in both spots, obviously, but the thing that gets me is the weather. You know, it's got a great dew, and then these are both high upside teams from at least from a power standpoint, and willing to run the bases for Cincinnati. So because of that, I think I'd probably put them both in the pasta. Is that how do I say it?
However you want to say it, but yeah, I think that's the way. Pasta. You would say pasta, correct?
Pasta, yeah.
I would throw the Braves in Pasta as well, also in part because you can't roster their 2-hitter. You're just not available. Just kind of makes things a little bit trickier. And there's a bit of leverage there, sure. Matt Olson's been rough this year. Certainly, he can turn it around, and the advanced stuff, he's just not hitting the ball as hard as he was. He's pretty cheap considering on FanDuel, but that lineup is there's some players there, but it falls off much quicker than it has in previous iterations due to injuries. Let's move on. Next game on the docket would be Philadelphia and Minnesota. Again, one last time, Roth will be on in 25 minutes or so, give you guys an update weather-wise. But currently, unless it's changed, I'll go ahead and give it a refresh. Orange, yellow in Minnesota, so be aware of it. Yeah, not changed just yet. Ranger Suarez taking on Bailey Ober 8.5 total. Philadelphia, a slight favorite here. Kirkwood, where do you have the Phillies and Minnesota?
This is tough. So, I mean, obviously, typical Ranger Suarez is not someone you want to go against, but I've been thinking the regression monster is going to come for him this season, and I think it's starting now. It came at the perfect time in his last start, and he got with the All-Star break, maybe he comes out a little bit better again. But he gave up 4 earned runs in his last start. I think I could see Minnesota getting it to him tonight. So I'd put them right smack in the middle. Ober is obviously not Ober and Ranger are obviously the two guys you don't really want to attack, but I think Minnesota gets a bump tonight in this. I think regression's coming, so I'll put him in the middle, and then the Phillies I'll either put. I mean, Ober can get hit hard when he does get hit, and the Phillies are no joke from an offensive perspective. But I'd put them right in the same spot. Both teams in the middle. And that's probably being generous.
Keith had some technical issues. He's going to bounce back in a second, but I'll play the role of Keith. I like Philly more than I like Minnesota here. Suarez, I just don't like stacking against him, right? I want to stack against somebody that gives up a bunch of fly balls and is wild. That's 2 things I want to check, right? He doesn't give a lot of fly balls, and his walk rate is what, 6%, 5%, 5 and change. Homers per 9 this year, 0.71, and that's with an 11.4% homer to fly ball because, again, does not give a lot of fly balls. Certainly you can stack against them, but just not something I'm looking at that's perfectly ideal. So I would keep Philadelphia in the middle. I'm fine with Minnesota in the middle too. And again, it's hard to say. You might get some leverage here I don't know if leverage is the right word, but lower ownership stuff if it's dicey, and of course if the game might not go, you're just like either fully stacking it or not playing it at all. There's no reason to have one-offs when there's a real risk of a rain out. Keith, you're back. Thoughts as far as Minnesota and Philly in the middle? Does that work for you? Hanging out with A?
Yeah, it works. I'm not excited about either one. I think both pitchers are pretty good, so I don't really like anything here. But they're 2 pretty good offenses as well. I mentioned Minnesota's success against lefties. Philly's been one of the better offenses in baseball, so there is some upside here. I just don't like their matchup all that much, so I think right in the middle is perfect.
What can you tell me about Weston Wilson? I don't mean to throw you off, but he's allegedly trained to hit baseballs. He's batting 8th tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. We know about Kyle Schwarber. Real Muto is back. Castellanos, of course, he homered yesterday. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. It's a healthy Philadelphia team, but Weston Wilson is playing baseball for Philly.
We've seen him before. He's an older prospect, probably not even a prospect anymore. He's been around a little bit, but nothing to be excited about.
I didn't think so. I kind of he's 29 years old at this point. He hit a lot of homers in 2023 AAA, 31 homers, 32 stolen bases. That's a lot. But he was also 28 years old facing 20-year-olds, right? So a little bit different when he jumps up to the majors. Just thought it was worth noting. Okay.
They got rid of Witt. They got rid of Witt, huh? Merrifield.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking Bobby Witt. Yeah. Merrifield's gone. They got rid of him. He wasn't. It's kind of over for him. Good run though. Good run. Milwaukee, Chicago. Keith, you're going first here with your Cubs. Still no Milwaukee lineup, I don't think. Javier Assad, not very good. Tobias Myers is fine. And again, better pitching environment today in Chicago as opposed to hitting. Looking for the total in this game. I don't have it. It's probably 7.5 or 8. I'm guessing it's pretty low. Pull it up in a second. What do you got, Keith?
8.5 is the total I'm seeing. Might have moved, but not really excited about either team here either. I mentioned Myers has had some success here recently. The Cubs offense has been scuffling for a couple of months now. They're obviously still down Bellinger. And then you add in the weather on top of that. I'm going to go Cubs in pasta. A little bit more excited about Milwaukee, but still not overly excited. Assad has been a little lucky this year, but he's also been pretty solid as well. I'll go A for Milwaukee. just kind of messed up here on both sides. The hitting weather is I would like Milwaukee a little bit more if the weather was better.
Being told in the chat, and now the Google machine confirms Whit Merrifield is a Brave now. The
I
Braves
forgot to bring this up, but I'd be remiss if I let the Phillies talk go without bringing this up. The only politics conversation I will allow is that once again a major world event happened and Nick Castellanos hit a home run.
Well, it was also the same day that Tom Brenneman, who famously, he kind of started the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's not this isn't the second time. This is like the ninth. Like
you can go back
time.
to
the first one was he hit a home run on the same day Osama bin Laden died.
Or the next day. I think it was depending on when the official, but yeah, Brenneman got rehired to call for the WB or the CW or something, calling some football games. But all right. And Merrifield's on Atlanta. It looks like I don't know if he's available tonight. He's not starting, but he's still sticking around. Like he's dusty, but he's still getting jobs, and good for him. Atlanta, fairly desperate. All right, Kirkwood, any issues here with Chicago, Milwaukee?
I'd put Chicago down and either Milwaukee in the same or up to a boot. I think Assad stinks. He's also coming back from he was injured and that was his first start back. In his last start, he didn't look very good at all, and I don't think he's very good long term. So I've been always taking my chances against him. So I kind of like Milwaukee, but they're just a pain in the ass to play with what they do with their bats. But yeah, so I would either be up one with Milwaukee and to a boot, or I guess I'm okay with A.
We have let's just go ahead and keep them where they're at. I think we're going to keep them where they're at. Yeah, I think we'll keep them. We'll just kind of move on. Still waiting for a Milwaukee lineup. We're not expecting anything goofy there, but for some reason, well, I guess they still have 2 hours, I suppose, to release their lineup. Arizona, Kansas City, 8.5. Gilbert Diaz taking on Cole Reagans. Kansas City, pretty big favorite here, -160. Kirkwood, this is your board. Where do you have the Royals and the D-backs?
Yeah, I think Diaz is not a good pitcher. Doesn't have the arsenal to be a good pitcher at this point. I think in his last start where he had just only gave one earned run, it was against just Toronto was bad. I think so I'm all about KC getting after him. The Snakes are pretty hot right now on the other side, but I'll put Kansas City, right in a boot. Potentially, maybe even Sawi. What is it? What's the?
You can say it. It's dealer's choice. You can say it however you want to say it. But
I need TJ to come in and say sorry again.
TJ, are you available to jump in and say sorry?
Sorry.
I think he's trying to Americanize it. Don't say it natural.
That is how I say it. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
He's usually more. He's usually playing into it more. He leans in typically. But all right. Wait, you wanted to? Where do you want Kansas City? I thought you wanted Kansas City and sorry, or no?
Sorry or a boot.
Oh, well,
but
all right, and then all right. So Keith, feel free to move it. One of the two. It's currently in. Looks like it's in a boot currently. Kind of in the middle. Straggling the line on the Mason-Dixon. Arizona hanging out.
I'd put him up. Actually, I'd put him top tier.
You're going to override yourself. All right.
I'm on the fence too. I'm jumping back and forth on what I want to do. So I think that the clear answer is they're right at the edge of the top tier if they're not in the top tier. Diaz he had control issues in the minors. I think there's a lot of upside here for this Kansas City offense. I'm good with them in the top tier. Arizona, I get that they've been really good against lefties. Reagans just doesn't give up all that much. So I feel like I want to push them up a little higher, but Reagans is my highest owned pitcher. I won't be playing them a ton, so down in pasta is good, but I wouldn't argue if anyone tries to tell you they have upside today.
All right, Coors, Keith, it's yours. Biggest total on the board, of course, Boston in Colorado, -175 favorites. Austin Gomber taking on Tanner Houck. Let's see. Boston's got a 5.65 total. A couple of their best hitters are lefties. Gomber is kind of neutral reverse splitsy. Duran and Devers. O'Neal, plenty of power, obviously. And kind of mentioned, I want to see what the bat has for pinch hit risk, because in my head, I feel like Westbrook and Rafaela and Gonzalez, like all three of those guys are really vulnerable to the pinch hit. I'm curious what they're projected for. But you tell me. And also tell me about Colorado. Where do you have the Rockies and the Red Sox, Keith?
I looked at Westbrook and Gonzalez when I was writing the Stacks article, and Westbrook was over 60%. Gonzalez was like 45%, I think. So Westbrook definitely has a ton of risk. I'll start on the Rockies side here. I'm not really excited, just a terrible offense. The only reason I even have any interest at all is because of Coors Field. I think Tanner Houck is a very good pitcher, and the Colorado offense is bad, but it's Coors Field, so I will leave them in the middle right there at A. Boston is the top offense on the slate by a significant margin. They're facing a low strikeout lefty, which is good because they strike out at the highest rate in baseball against lefties. But Gomber doesn't strike anyone out either. So lots of balls in play in a great ballpark that boosts extra bases. I love the Red Sox today. They're going to be owned, but I will be over the field on the Red Sox. Colorado, also the worst bullpen in baseball.
Do you have and it's very heavy as far as righties too, which is one of the reasons why we're alarmed about the projected hook there. I did pull it up as well, and I think it was basically what you said. It hasn't changed. Westbrook 60%, give or take. Gonzalez in the 40s. Ref Snyder 15%. They'll hook him sometimes if a righty comes in on occasion. He's not like a lock. Raphael a little bit low in my opinion, but hey, who am I to say as far as pinch hit stuff? What do you have, Kirk? Well, this is your team. Boston's your team. Are we leaning in?
Wait, you think Raphael is getting pinch hit?
I think he's got a chance.
There's zero chance.
He's an elite defender. They leave him out there for his defense.
He's great. He's awesome. Yeah. They don't mess around him. It's going to be the guys that get pinch hit for are obviously, like you said, Ref Snyder. Also, they'll get rid of Romy potentially, and they'll also get Westbrook. So those are the three real concerns. I love Rafaela tonight, but
okay,
sorry, yeah. So Red Sox are the top. I agree with that. Yeah, I don't see them. Nobody gets to Tanner Houck. Tua.
I knew that was like minus 800 that you were going to do that, by the way, just for the record. Feel free to cash your tickets. So Colorado is hanging out in the A in the middle. You want to lower him?
I want to lower him
to
throw him in the basement for me, but because it's Coors, give him the
pasta.
The pasta.
All right, and Boston. You make one man lineup, Kirk. What have you decided? Are you leaning in on Boston? You're just going to take that?
Boston so I can't afford. The problem is I want to go with like the expensive Boston bats, and I don't care about Devers being lefty. I don't care about Duran, who also hit a home run on the same day that Biden stepped down. I just wanted to note that for political things. But so I want Duran, Tyler O'Neill. I want, and it's tough to get that. I also want Wong. And I want Rafael, but it's like I would have to. I don't. It's just too hard for me to make it, so I got to make some cuts here and figure it out.
He's got to be the most popular catcher. Like catcher in Coors, not that expensive. Batting third, Wong is just, if you're playing cash games, that's probably your catcher. But just be aware of that when you're making tournament lineups. I would just say, not saying it's a bad play, but just if you're sensitive to ownership stuff. All right, we got to move on. 3 more games, 10 minutes. Do we have enough likes? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. Enough likes to get some Juggalo bombs for the people, Kirkwood. I'm not sure what your threshold is. I'm assuming you have a couple ready to go.
Well, necessary. I have a guaranteed home run like Chops, and I'll do it for 700 likes.
Oh, okay.
And then will
you DM me if you don't hit the 700? Will you tell me privately? We're friends like that, right?
Yeah, and then if we get 1,000 likes, I'm still 1,000 likes. I'm ready to streak. I'm willing to do it, but just haven't ever got close there.
Anywhere particular, like around the block at Fenway, at like CC's?
Fenway Park.
You're gonna go to the ballpark tonight?
Well, we have to get the likes first, and then we'll discuss. They're not there. It would be a home game. It would have to be a home game.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would need my RotoGrinders socks. This is all the rules that we've came up with before. But
Singular or plural? How many socks do you need?
well,
This
really, I
dealer?
only need one. I only need one.
All right. Angels, Mariners, Bryce Miller, Tyler Anderson. The regression monster theoretically is stalking Tyler Anderson, but the Seattle team will strike out. They're hurting. There's no J-Rod. They got rid of France. He was terrible anyway. No Angels lineup just yet, unless I missed it. Let's see. We just got the Dodgers. We just got the Brewers. Dodgers, Ohtani, Smith, Freeman, Teoscar, Pages, Vargas, Taylor, Lux, Enrique Kike Hernandez, Milwaukee, Terang, Contreras, Yelich, Adames, Frelick, Churio, Hoskins, Ortiz, and Mitchell. I believe that is all we got. All right, more kind of coming through. No Angels just yet. Kirkwood, I think this is your board.
Okay, I'll start with Seattle. I like Tyler Anderson as a pitcher more than the rest of people. That doesn't mean I'm opposed to going against him with some bats. I hate the fact that there's too many strikeouts that ruins the rallies, but there are high upside guys, and Robles is finally starting to come around and is dirt cheap. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper. Have you ever seen a ISO greater than a WOBA? How many times have you seen an ISO greater than a WOBA?
That doesn't happen very often. He must have a lot of homers and doubles. Yeah.
I mean, him batting cleanup, certainly in play. Garver is in play. Dylan Moore is in play. So some of these guys, so it would be It would be 2, 4, 5, 6. I think is a pretty decent stack if you're doing it, because you need the savings from Robles. So I'll put them in the middle because I'll even much as I like Anderson, I'll put them higher because it's hit or miss. I'll put them up in a boot because the Angels bullpen is just there. I mean, we say Colorado's the worst bullpen. Angels is right there next to them. They give up the most home runs per 9. They also have the second highest SIERA on the slate, right behind Colorado. So this is a bullpen that you can absolutely mash against. So I got to put upside there. And then I don't really see the Angels going off against Bryce Miller, really against many pitchers at all. So I would put them down. I think I put them right down on the bottom in the Zed.
Zed. Keith, any issues here?
No issues. That's exactly where I have them both. Seattle is really cheap without Julio Rodriguez, especially. So not only do they have upside with their power, we think Anderson is a fraud, and they're really cheap. So I love the upside. I agree with them and the Angels are just a bad offense. Bryce Miller's a good pitcher. I have no interest there.
8.5 total in Oakland. Keith, Arrighetti taking on Hogan Harris. Houston is the favorite team, -150. No Houston lineup just yet, but I do not expect anything too goofy. They are facing a lefty. Harris kind of neutral, though. He's not like a big splits guy as far as, never be afraid left on left, Jordan Alvarez. But shout out to Jordan. He got himself the old cycle the other day. Amazing.
The greatest achievement in baseball. The greatest achievement in baseball.
So much greater than hitting 4 home runs is the cycle. Because there's no catchy name for hitting 4 home runs. Quadruple dong. I was trying to find footage. I was watching the game. I was trying to find actual footage of the triple. They kept showing me the double. What is
there's got to be a name for there's got to be a name for 3 home runs and plus. Like you get it in bowling, like you get a turkey, right?
Turkey, yes.
Like, yeah, we should start the name. We should figure out next show.
Do you got? Well, you give people fake nicknames. Why you might as well come up with your own
Steve, how many times did I tell you to? I use official nicknames, Dean.
I mean, Wiki does not confirm it. I've not to check your work or anything and bust out the red pen, but I've caught it a couple times. And you're throwing some nicknames my way, and they did not check out when I did my research. But maybe the chat can let us know what would we call a 3 homer game. Double dong is quad dong according to Butthole in chat.
Yeah, but that's not good. We need like a name, like
the tripod according to Don Yuzi. I don't know. That's why, because the cycle sounds so cool. Big cycle. That's great marketing. And people think it's amazing. But it's like a dribbler in the hole. Like, congratulations, you got a cycle. Like, but that's not exciting. Anyways, I think it's Keith's board. Arrighetti, Harris, Astros, A's.
Yeah, I like the offense in this game probably way more than I should. Houston, I have up in the top tier. I am not scared of Hogan Harris whatsoever. Very low strikeout rate. Houston lines up really well against lefties. Jordan is probably the best left-on-left hitter in the world. With Kyle Tucker on the IL, that's even less of an argument. Alvarez is awesome if he's lower owned because it's left-on-left, even better. And then everybody else is really cheap outside of Altuve. Jake Myers is one of my favorite value bats. Chas McCormick has struggled a bunch this season, but he is really cheap. So good value, lots of upside here. Don't love the ballpark, but I think Houston is in the top tier today. I like the other side a ton as well because of the high walks of Spencer Arrighetti. Oakland has also been just mashing baseballs here recently. Last 30 days, they are number 2 in ISO in the entire league. They're number 4 in WRC plus. So this is not like a couple day hot stretch. This is like a month long. Oakland is a really good offense. Arrighetti can get wild at times. The strikeout rate is concerning. They could strike out a bunch here, and this could burn me, but I have a ton of love for this Oakland stack today. Another team that is really cheap outside of Brent Rooker. Very easy to fit them in. Good way to get different as a mini stack. I'll have several full stacks of them as well. I have them in about.
All right. About 5 minutes or so until crunch time comes in, but I did go ahead and drop this update in chat. Roth lowered the risk in Minnesota. Looks to me like a late start and a play uninterrupted scenario. I'll leave some chance of a postpone. And I suppose that's not what I expect. Of course, Roth will give another update when he jumps on in here in a few minutes, and later on digging into if things change. It is a fluid situation. Whether it's fluid, he'll give more updates, and then, of course, he'll give it on his Twitter account if necessary, at KevinRothWx. I believe that's what it is. Everybody's got to be following Roth these days. One more game to go. Hey, I wanted to give the explanation. We got to give TJ some time to explain the thought process behind today's game. You see it scrolling. Canadian Icon was clue number 5. We've had a winner for a while now, but we'll do that after this last game. Keith, if you have any player props, you have any homers, whatever sort of streets are in there, by all means, we're going to fire those off as well before we yield to crunch time. But let's knock out this last game on the board. San Fran, Dodgers. We got River Ryan, which is a spectacular name. One of the bigger prospects in the Dodgers organization, but they don't have a really deep organization as far as prospects. So just throwing that out there. Taking on Blake Snell. We've talked about Snell several times, how we think he's really, really interesting for tournaments. Of course, when things go wrong for Snell, he can walk 7 dudes in 3 innings, and then the Dodgers all of a sudden become an interesting stack that I don't think anybody's playing. This is Kirkwood's board. I think we're going to give it to Kirkwood to start off. San Fran, Dodgers, and then we'll get Keith's thoughts. We'll knock everything else out. Kirkwood, go for it. San Fran and LA, where are we putting them?
I'm firmly on Team Snell tonight, but I will, because of the Dodgers, who they are, in the front half of that lineup, I will give them credit and put them in the second tier, although I'd probably lean towards A, but Abut is fine just because of the – and Snell is going to be somewhat popular, so there is a little bit of leverage to that. And like you said, things can unravel for Snell in a heartbeat. But actually, no, scratch. Put him in the middle, and then on the other side, I mean, again against a guy pitching in his first start here on the Dodgers, I think, man, the Giants are close to gutless, being in the top 5 gutless rankings. But I think you have to play some San Francisco if you're multi-entering like Keith. So I'll put them right next to the Dodgers as well.
Muted, Dean.
I was tilting because I was looking in the chat, and Shannon calls me out. Dean always skips at least one game. I don't always skip one game, but I did skip one game today, and we'll go back to that. But you are correct. But we'll talk about Chicago and Texas in a second. I'm not really interested in that game. I think that's part of the reason, but bad job by me. Keith, any issues? By the way, plenty of time for if we go a few minutes in the crunch time, 7:20 start. So I'm not sure if they're even going up the first pitch because, first pitch is not 7:05 or 7:07 tonight. But if we go a couple minutes over, I assume it's going to be okay. They're knocking on the door here shortly. Keith, tell me, where do we have Dodgers and Giants? Any issues with Kirkwood's placement?
No issues. I like them both right there in the middle. I am also on Team Snell today. I think he's starting to put it back together. The Dodgers are an elite offense, but they're also really expensive. And the back half of the lineup is it's really bad. So they're a tough team to stack in that the guys you want to play are all expensive. I would much rather just play Ohtani as a one-off or Will Smith as a one-off than full stack them. So as a stack, they're right there in the middle. The Giants, I agree with Kirkwood completely. Like, they're just not a fun team to stack. Like Ramos had a nice little run there for a while. He's come back down to earth a little bit. Soler is picking it up a little, but a decent prospect here in River Ryan, but it's still an MLB debut. So I want a little exposure to them, but I'm not excited about it. Right there in the middle for the Giants for me.
All right, last game. Let's knock it out. My bad for skipping it earlier. White Sox, Texas, Keith. Fede versus Lorenzen, 8 total. Texas, pretty big favorite because the White Sox, I think 27-72, something like that. Their record is it's horrendous. They're not a good baseball team, but they're going to be worse. Where do you have the Rangers and the White Sox?
The White Sox I've got down in pasta. Lorenzen has been extremely lucky this season. I don't think he's a very good pitcher, but the White Sox are also a very bad offense. Not a lot to like here. So down in pasta for the White Sox. Rangers. I'm torn on about or A. I think I'm going to leave him in A for now. I really like Corey Seager here. Fede has been vulnerable to lefties in his career. He's an above average pitcher at this point in his career, I think, but the lefties I do have some interest in, particularly in Corey Seager, but as a stack, they're just middle of the road.
By the way, Arch in chat is saying Dodgers always up there in prospects. They have one of the best farm systems in baseball. What I was looking at today, I think they only had 2 in the top 100 for the record. So, and then some of that stuff changes depending on where you're looking, but I was not seeing a really good farm system for the Dodgers. Point me in the direction that says otherwise. I'd be happy to read that. Okay.
They traded a good amount of it. 2 years, like the last 2 years, they made a significant amount of trades that thinned it out a little bit.
I think that's what's happened. Yeah. Kirkwood, any issues here as far as the White Sox and Texas?
No, maybe Texas up 1 again, even though Fede is not he's been really good and he's limited damage all season long, but their bullpen is so bad and Texas is starting to heat up. So I would put them right there, but no issues on the Sox. White
I'm
Sox.
good with
Although
that.
They're Cheese's favorite stack tonight, so we should probably move them up just for that alone.
Well, there you go. Kansas City, Boston, Houston, all the way at the top in Sorry. A boot has Seattle, Oakland, and Texas. A has Minnesota, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, the Dodgers, the Giants, the White Sox. Hanging out with Pasta is Atlanta, the Cubs, the Rockies. All the way at the bottom with Zed is Diamondbacks, the Angels, the Reds. By the way, I rounded. I was too kind when I gave the White Sox record. I thought they were 27-72, 27-74. So that is horrendous. That is really, really bad baseball. Kirkwood, give the people some Juggalo bombs.
Oh man, I didn't think we got enough likes for that.
I
never see it coming. I'm never prepared. All right, so here we go.
Is this your first show?
Brent Rooker is going to take.
Oh yeah,
he and Langeliers are top 30 in ISO in baseball. So, and Lawrence Butler has been crazy going off lately too. But I think Rooker is my Juggalo bomb most, and then can I pick a Red Sox? Is that
sure? It's kind of cheating, but sure.
Devers is going to go yard in this game, whether it's off lefty or off the bullpen.
Keith, whatever you have, if you have homers, if you have fleisters, if you have props, and also you were touting Corey Seager and LSU for life in chat says, "What is y'all? Tell me what your obsession is with Corey Seager. What is your obsession with Corey Seager, Keith?"
He's really good at hitting baseballs. That's number one.
Yeah.
So we play DFS, and he's really good at that. That's the obsession. I'm on the same page as Kirkwood with where I was thinking home runs. Shea Langoliers, Langelier, Bangaliers, whatever you want to call him, is just incredible tonight. He's my guy for Oakland. I think Oakland hits a couple of them tonight. And I will also go Jake Myers as an off-the-board one for Houston. Cheap one.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in Crunch Time. Apologies for keeping them waiting. TJ also jumping on for Crunch Time as well, and he can go ahead and tell the people, explain. They are wondering who, if they haven't quite figured it out. I've seen some people in chat guess it. They figured out what the movie Monday was. If you guys didn't figure it out, also TJ did create that game. Without further ado, it's Tasteful Tides Tim. It's Kevin Roth. It's TJ. It's Crunch Time. All right. TJ, did you want to go ahead and explain your board, sir?
Yeah, so the movie, the for Movie Monday today was Deadpool, since you had a Canadian themed board.
Yes.
Both the character Deadpool and the actor Ryan Reynolds are Canadian, and the third movie in the trilogy comes out this week, Deadpool and Wolverine, another Canadian Wolverine. So that was the movie. The first clue was leaked footage. That movie exists. The first Deadpool movie exists because Ryan Reynolds leaked test footage allegedly Ryan Reynolds leaked test footage of himself in the Deadpool suit doing the lines, and the internet lost its mind, and that led to the creation of the movie. 2 was Saskatchewan, because Deadpool is from Regina, Saskatchewan. 3 is what was 3? Wham, because it's part of the soundtrack. The last scene closes to Wham, and he frequently mentions it throughout the movie. 4, Soldier of Fortune, because that is what he is. He's a mercenary. And 5, Canadian icon, because who's Deadpool? It's Ryan Reynolds.
There you go. Yeah. But like, Kevin, did you see the board as far as Canadian? You pieced together what the category was, I'm sure. I imagine so.
I did. The only thing I didn't understand was Zed. I didn't get that one. That one over my
So
head.
this is going to blow your mind, Kevin. Are you sitting down, Kevin? Are you sitting down?
Yes, I am.
So Zed, you know the alphabet, right? You probably sang the alphabet to your kids once upon a, do you know what they call Z in Canada?
They don't call it Z?
It's called Zed. It's Zed. X, Y, and Z. That's what they call it in Canada.
TJ, is this for real? Is he pulling my leg?
Yeah, no, it's not only for real, but Z is the only used by the United States, nowhere else.
What?
It's Zed everywhere else in the world, so it's not just a Canadian thing.
What? What the hell? What? How did I not know this? That's amazing.
TJ, could you set up a poll? Is that possible? I don't know if you can set up polls. I'm curious if the people.
I'm not in the YouTube account, so no, I can't.
Oh, never mind. My apologies. When you want to sleep, right? Do you catch Zeds? Like, I'm gonna go catch some Zeds. What do you say?
No, I think that's an American saying, and so it's still just catching some Z's.
Oh, you do catch Z's.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I don't think I've really heard people say that very often here.
Okay, fair enough. Tim, you're still with us. Were you sitting down? Was this all new to you as well?
Yeah, it was very new to me. I had no idea, Dean.
Yeah, it blew my mind when I found it out as well. It's like, what do you mean Z is not a thing, and the rest? You guys don't say Z? How do you say zebra? I guess they're talking about zebra on chat. Do you just say zebra, or is it
Zedbra?
I mean, you don't say zebra because Z is pronounced Z. It's zebra because how it's spelled, Zebra.
Yeah, TJ Zedwich, just having fun with this in chat. We're having a little bit of fun.
The A at the end of zebra makes it a hard E instead of a soft E.
All right. Did we get off the Fleisters? Keith, did you knock those out? I apologize if you did, right?
Yeah, Langoliers and Jake Myers.
That's right. Okay. I wanted to make sure you knocked those out as well. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Don't go anywhere because crunch time, it is starting right now. You got Tasteful Tides Tim. You got TJ Zwarych, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Roth, you're kind of bouncing back and forth as far as this Minnesota weather.
No, what is this? I'm bouncing back and forth. What is this attack, Dean?
10 minutes ago it was orange yellow, and now it's yellow orange. Is that not bouncing back and forth?
No, bouncing back and forth was 10 minutes ago. It was green, and now it's red, and then it's back to green. That's bouncing back and forth, Dean.
It's not a full flip flop. It's a little wishy washy.
Come on, I
non-committal.
will explain my thoughts and my feelings perfectly minutes from now, Dean. Don't you worry.
Well, the people want to hear that. They've had enough of me, enough of Kirkwood, not enough of Keith, but Keith's got to go. He's got to go. So we're going to step aside and get out of here. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It is crunch time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Got my guy Tim, TastefulTides in the house. What up?
Yeah, not much, Kevin. Always good to see you. Really interesting 9-game slate we got. Played some golf earlier. Had a lot of fun. Shot like a 82. So not great, but it was still a good time.
That's pretty good. I did not peg you as a golfer, if I'm being honest. Yeah, apparently if you're shooting 82, you golf. That's a thing you do.
I do play a lot of golf.
Good for you. Sounds lovely. We got TJ in the house as well. TJ Zwarych. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing pretty well. I've typically played a lot of golf, but this is the second year that I haven't really. I'd love to be playing more, but I've only played one round of 9 holes this year.
I tried to get into golf, and it just pissed me off too much. I can't play a sport where I can't foul someone if things go wrong. Like I need to be able to get out my anger. And breaking those clubs is expensive. So that sport just didn't work for me. We got to talk about the weather here. And I think you're going to like what I have to say. I fully think that Minnesota is just a late start and play. That's just what I think they're going to do. I think you should play it like that's what they're going to do. I'm not going to promise you that that's what they're going to do because I don't get to make the call, but I like what I'm seeing on radar. I like what I'm seeing in forecast models. I know that they're good at doing weather, so they don't do stupid shit all the time. I just think they're going to late start and play. That's that. And I think you should play it as if that's what they're going to do. And then in Atlanta, there's a chance for a delay. I started it at like some sort of combination of green, yellow, and now we're up to a firm yellow. Just a chance for a delay, a few pop-up showers, a few pop-up storms. If you want to play pitchers there, I'm not going to say it's safe, but I do think it probably works out. So if you want to play pitchers there, I say I'm okay with it. You do have a chance that you get a delay at literally any point in the game. So that is worth noting. By the way, we got EMAC in the house. Shout out EMAC. You're the man, bud. And EMAC, by the way, always reaches out and says a nice word when something goes wrong and 80 people tell me I'm an idiot. EMAC is one of the first people in my DM saying, you are not an idiot, Roth. Ignore those jabronis. So good to see you, bud. And that's it. That's pretty much all I've got here weather-wise. So let's talk about the slate. TJ, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, sure. We got pretty interesting pitching slate with nobody really standing out as like, wow, this is fantastic. But we also have a ton of really good options as well. And so Hunter Green, Bryce Miller, those are the two guys looking like the biggest chalk today. Sorry, just making sure I screen share the right one here, not the one with my lineups and exposures. So Hunter Green and Bryce Miller are looking like the guys who are going to be the highest owned today. But I'm going to be looking to get underweight on Bryce Miller. Underweight on Hunter Green, and I'm actually fully fading Bryce Miller today. It's a bit of a risky approach for pitching, but I don't really see a huge difference between any of these guys on pitching today. And so I'm looking to go heavily overweight on a few of these other guys coming in at lower, and I'm going to be underweight on Bryce Miller and Hunter Green. Tanner Houck, Reynaldo Lopez, and then the Spencer Arrighetti. I don't mind this range, but Cole Ragans is definitely my favorites of the group of the non-super chalky pitchers. Ragans is going to be my highest owned for tournaments today. And then the next two guys I'm looking to get to the most are Blake Snell and Tobias Myers. Snell going up against the Dodgers. It's scary, but he's priced like a crappy pitcher. He's been a crappy pitcher until last two games actually. And then last game, he looked like ace Blake Snell. And he's always been a guy that kind of goes in waves of looking elite and terrible, and terrible. So if we can catch him not only on the elite side while he's cheap and 10% projected own, I want to catch him while he's still going on that way up before he's the 9,500 again. Now, maybe he's not fixed. Maybe that was just an outlier. But if it's not, I definitely want to be overweight to that in tournaments. And then I really like Tobias Myers. Slight wind blowing in Wrigley today. Plus the Cubs just aren't that strong of an offense right now. I like going with Myers as well. I'm mixing in a little bit of Fetty in tournaments just because he's limited hard contact this year. And I think that would be it for the entirety of my pool.
Okay. Tim, that was a lot of pitchers, man. Do you have a big pitching pool as well? First off, what's the cash combo? And then as far as tournaments, who are you looking at?
Yeah, so did I hear you say, Roth, that Atlanta's got some potential rain concerns?
Yeah, it's just a chance for a pop-up shower or storm. I think you are more likely to avoid it happening. It's more likely that it goes up not over the ballpark than right over it. But it is absolutely possible. So if you are playing pitchers there, you have to be aware it could happen, but it probably won't.
Okay, so I'm still going to play Hunter Green in cash games. Projection systems really want you to play Bryce Miller in cash games. I really like TJ's call on fading Bryce Miller in GPPs. I don't think he's got a lot of ceiling. But for cash games, I would go Bryce Miller and Hunter Green. I'm pivoting to Tanner Houck in my single entry.
Oh man, he was just cooking. He was just getting
clear.
going.
He was cooking. We never lose Tim. That was weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim will likely be back in a little bit here. I suppose we can kind of punt it over to some stacks. TJ, you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll hammer home when he said like Green and Miller definitely is the cash pairing today. And so it's pretty simple. Just lock those two in. They're both nice and cheap. I don't think I agree 100% with Tim. I don't think Miller has a big ceiling. That's why I want to fade him in tournaments, but he should have as high of a floor as anyone today. Like he's got the probably second best chance on the board behind Green of getting you a good 15 to 20 today. Yeah. Just not really likely to get you that 30 plus type of thing. I too like Houck in tournaments a little bit, but I'll probably just be about even with the field. And then, yeah, in terms of stacks today.
By the way, Derek pointing out that we simultaneously did the dog head tilt as soon as Tim froze. We both went. All right, what are we doing stack wise here? I assume if there's so many options pitcher wise, then maybe we have quite a few options here as well. If there's nothing that really stands out as great, maybe I'm wrong.
So Boston stands out as great because they're in Coors. They got the big total today. They're facing Austin Gomber, and he sucks. Now Boston isn't great against left-handed pitching, and they do strike out a lot. And so I don't think it's like a fully sure thing. But Boston is the top stack on the board. Houston, Philly, and KC is kind of my tier 2 today. I'm on an island with Philly. I don't think Ober's a very good pitcher. I just think Philly's an even better offense. And so I want to be getting heavily overweight on them today. And then Houston is probably my number 2 behind Boston. Kansas City, I really like as well. My tier 3 is going to be Milwaukee against Assad, even though it's not a great spot today in Wrigley. The Dodgers against Snell, because even though I love Snell, it's the Dodgers that he's facing. And if we get a bad Snell today, I want to make sure I have them. And then the last stack that I really like today, like I'm sprinkling in Cubs, Seattle, Colorado, and Atlanta. Seattle, I'm getting to a lot more as a mini stack as opposed to a full stack. And then, but the final team in my tier 3 is Oakland, the Athletics. They've been red hot. They talked about it on GrindersLive. They've been absolutely red hot lately. And I want to keep playing them because they're still too cheap.
Okay, very good. Let's go around the horn, position by position. Start me off with some catcher talk.
All right, let's do it. Still no Tim back here in the room, so I'm wondering if he's having some internet issues. Maybe
we should note, by the way, the show typically, I think lock is at like 20 after today. So we might not make it all the way up until lock, especially now that we've lost Tim. But we'll take some questions and we'll bounce on out of here when the time feels right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for. I was going to say thank you for mentioning that because I forgot, but I'm not hosting. It's your job to mention that.
It's my job. So yeah, you're good.
Catcher today, Connor Wong to me is the top option by far. I don't really understand why Contreras is projecting as the highest owned option today. I think it should be Connor Wong by like a lot. He is the very, very clear cash game option. There's Tim. He's back with us today. I think I like Moreno is fine, but I don't really want to pick on Garver. Pick on Reagans. Garver would probably be my next favorite behind Connor Wong today. And then Shea Langelier, aka Langoliers, Bangoliers, like he said. Those are my top 3, along with Sal Perez. Langoliers, Garver, Wong.
Okay, very good. Tim, we got you back here. Will you walk us through your favorite pitchers, your stacks, and then get into catcher, and then we'll be all caught up?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Miller, Green, and Cash, but then I'm going to pivot to Hauk and Green and single entry. I obviously don't mind Cole Reagan's anytime, any slate. Huge strikeout rate. Blake Snell, only 7,500. Really, really high K rate. Low ownership, great for tournaments. Spencer Getty, I think you should be getting into both sides of that game. Both the A's and Arrighetti are strong plays, so don't mind either one of them. So that would basically be my pitching pool.
Okay.
And then
as far as stacks go, TJ had the Red Sox at the top, and then he had a few other tiers. Could you list out kind of your tiers or your favorites for us?
Yeah, the Red Sox are definitely number one, but they do come with some pinch hit risks. So just pay attention to your exposures in your GPP portfolio. Tyler O'Neill is the top overall play on the slate. Ownership not considered. He's going to be very, very popular. My second favorite stack would probably be Houston tonight, and then Texas. I like Texas quite a bit. Those are my top three. Like I mentioned, though, Oakland I think is a very, very strong stack going up against Arrighetti, and then probably I don't know. Let me just find somebody real quick here. Yeah, so I think Kansas City is also in a really, really good spot. So I would rank Kansas City to round out my top 5 stacks.
Okay, very good. Then walk us through catcher, and we will be all caught up.
All right. I'm just reopening up some tabs here after my power just went out. Yeah,
we got oodles of time, Tim. I want to sit here until 6:20, so we got time.
There was a huge explosion right near my house. I've never heard anything like that. Ooh. So yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, Connor Wong is definitely the cash game catcher on DK 4.4. There's also a min price catcher, Jair Camargo, who's the min price for Minnesota. I don't mind him in cash games either. Shea Bangaliers, 4,100 would be one of my top GPP catchers. I don't mind Yanier Diaz also at 4K. Ryan Jeffers is the more expensive twin bat that I like in GPPs. And then I think I would round this out with some Jonah Heim at 3,200.
Very good. Walk me to first base.
Yeah, so Vinny P, 4,800. I like that price quite a bit. For value, I like Nathaniel Lowe. I like that Texas stack. Lowe's only 3,400. He's very, very affordable. And then you've got interesting decisions here with Boston because of Romy Gonzalez. He's 4K. He's batting 7th. I don't really love it. He can obviously be a part of your Red Sox stack, but I think you can avoid him in cash. And then obviously you can pay up for guys like Bryce Harper, guys like Ohtani. Like obviously they are spectacular GPP plays, but too expensive for cash games.
Okay. TJ, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, in tournaments today, I really, really like, just pivoting over here. Seth Brown is a cheap option for Oakland, batting 6th. I'm getting to a ton. Bryce Harper is my favorite spend up, followed by Ohtani behind him. I'm getting a lot of Vinny P, just like Tim. And then Michael Toglia is another guy batting cleanup today for Colorado. Even though I don't like the full stack, I really like Toglia today.
Okay, how about second base?
Jorge Polanco batting 3rd. I'm for Seattle is my highest owned guy today. Like I said, I'm not getting a ton of them as a full stack, but a lot of Seattle one-offs and mini stacks. Polanco is one of those guys I'm getting to. Brooks Baldwin for the White Sox batting 8th, full out punt today. I'm getting to just because he's minimum price 2K. Getting to some outside of that, it's really just stacks. It's such a gross position. Like you can pay up for Altuve or Terang, but it's just gross. So I'm just using stacks of Dubon, Taylor, Giloff, Terang, Altuve, Massey, Rogers, Stott. But for the most part, it's Polanco and Baldwin for me.
Okay, Tim, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, I completely agree with TJ. This is a really, really bad position. I think Jose Altuve is obviously your top spend up option, but he's also going to be very popular. So just watch out for that. I'm playing Brooks Baldwin in cash at the min 2K. Also really like Michael Massey, 4,200. Don't mind Jorge Polanco at 3.3, Zach Geloff at 3.7, but this is mostly in stacks position.
Makes sense. How about third base?
Rafael Devers, top overall play. I don't care that it's lefty. Colorado's got one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball. I don't really care. I'm playing him at 6.3. My next favorite would be Alex Bregman, 4.2K, too cheap, too good of a matchup. So really like that spot. Dylan Moore at 3.8. I don't mind. But really, Corey Seager is obviously. Oh, sorry. I'm going ahead real quick here. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah, Bregman, Devers, Bregman, Josh Smith. That's what I was thinking of. Josh Smith at 41, Dylan Moore at 38, and that would pretty much be it for me.
Okay, TJ, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, a lot of very similar guys for me. Devers is going to be my highest owned and top option today. Bregman is fine. Alec Boehm is someone I like today because I'm going heavy on Philly. Chris Taylor, Adam Fraser, Kike Hernandez is some cheapies. I like Josh Smith a lot as a one-off or part of a mini stack for Texas. And then Dylan Moore as well.
Very good. Take me to shortstop, TJ.
Bobby Witt Jr., top play at the position by a fairly wide margin for me. He's one of my highest owned bats. We're projecting him for 7% owned. And I think he's probably my favorite tournament bat on the slate. So I'm getting way overweight on Bobby Witt Jr. today. Seager's great. Willie Adames is great. Romy Gonzalez is somebody I'd be looking to get heavily underweight on, I think, today. But I do like Rafaela significantly more. He's coming in at a little bit lower ownership, but he's more expensive and lower in the lineup. They talked about this on GrindersLive, but he's a lot less likely to get pinch hit for because he's a really good defender. And so he's one of the more likely ones to stay out there. And so I like him at lower ownership than the other guy at the same position. But Bobby Witt is definitely my favorite. If I can get up to Dela Cruz or Turner, that's great. But Bobby Witt is my priority spender.
Okay, great. Tim, your thoughts at third? Short.
That's short, yeah.
Yep.
So Seager is my second favorite play in the entire slate. I like him over Witt. Obviously, Witt is a fantastic play as well. Willie Adames, 4.3, pretty cheap. Don't mind that as a one-off. Jeremy Pena, same thing. Really like the guy's calls on Rafaela for Boston. I prefer him in the outfield, though, not at short. Trey Turner is fine for GPPs. That's about it. I really would not spend down at short today.
Okay, then bring me to the outfield.
Yeah, so Tyler O'Neill's the clear and obvious choice. He's your cash game outfielder. You pretty much have to play him in cash. And then there's guys like Kyle Schwarber that I love for tournaments. Jaron Duran, another a really, really strong spend up option for Boston. Great play. I'd be playing Rafaela. I'd be playing Yoshida. All these guys, they're not going to be like super, super chalky. We got Lawrence Butler at 3.5K at 3% owned. Like, I absolutely love that in any format. Jake Myers at 3,200. These cheap Houston outfielders are fantastic tournament plays. They're coming in right around 5% ownership right now, so I love them for GPPs.
Very good. TJ, your thoughts in the outfield?
Get into a lot of cheapies. Victor Robles is my highest owned. Lawrence Butler is number 2. Seth Brown number 3, tied with when we start getting some of the expensive ones. Yordan Alvarez, Tyler O'Neill, and Jaron Duran is my favorite spend ups. Trying to get to as much Ohtani as I can just because no one's going to play him in the lefty against Snell. Absolutely love Brent Rooker today. And then Kyle Schwarber as well, somebody I'm looking to get heavily over the field on.
Okay. Very good. Hey, guys, we should make sure that everybody signs up for RotoGrinders Premium. If you're not doing it, what are you doing here? We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. You get a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months combo premium. You get your first month off of RG Premium, $40 off for a limited time. And if you just want to test run, dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass is $19.99. I repotted a cactus today, and the dirt to do that was more than $19.99. It is literally dirt cheap. 3-day pass, $19.99. You can't beat it. Make sure you sign up. Dirt. It's cheaper than dirt to sign up for RG Premium.
What's
What should we do?
And of course, we're going to need people to hit the like button as well. Roth, how many people do you think we have watching right now total across not just YouTube, but across the sites?
Oh, I think we're up around 1,000.
So Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter.
Oh, I think we're around 1,300, TJ.
2,850.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean,
yeah, sorry, not 1,000. I got carried away. 2,850.
You made me nervous for a while. I was like, I should have been doing better as a showing people.
People asking about Spidey bombs. Yeah, I will have lots of Spidey bombs for the people. I'll have lots of home run picks. It's kind of tough to do them as the likes go up throughout the show while I'm producing and hosting too. It's just a bit too many hats. But once we get to our home run calls, I'll absolutely have them ready. But just for the sake of it, let's get 15 more likes on YouTube because the people are doing great. We got 185 likes, but let's get it up over 200 here.
There you go. Hit that like button. Maryi Don Yeezy letting the people know. Want to get to 200 likes on YouTube. We'll give some Spidey bombs out. Tim, we need some home run calls. B. Scott wants to see my succulents. I don't know if that's a euphemism or if he truly just wants to see my succulents. I don't know, and I'm not sure.
You're talking about your dirt. I think he wants to see your plants.
That's probably true.
The people want to know about the Philly Min delay, Roth.
Did they announce the late start?
Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
it's just literally it's all going to plan. It's just going to be a late start and play. It's
all good.
It's a late start. It's the most late start and play that I've ever seen a late start and play be. It's going to be a late start and play, and they're going to play. That's that. I feel pretty strongly about it.
I do want to give out one quick tater because his line keeps going down as the show moves on. Josh Smith plus 675 on BetMGM, plus 650 on DraftKings.
Okay, very
Classic
good.
Tim stealing a Spidey bomb.
Oh,
I had to. His odds were even better earlier. I wanted to give it out at the beginning of the show.
We're up to 222. The people absolutely crushing it. So Spidey bombs, Bobby Witt Jr. as my expensive chalky one. Lawrence Butler as a nice cheapie today. That's going to hit a home run. And Luis Robert, Spidey bomb number 3, going up against Michael Lorenzen.
Very good. Somebody said, I saw a stat here. Witt is hitting 508 over his last 15 games. I know that some people do not believe in hot streaks, but that's insane. That is truly outrageous over his last 15. So I like that. We got some plant questions coming in. We will get to those in just a bit. But first, if you have any questions based on baseball, we will do that as well. I'm starting in the RG Discord because that's where the cool kids hang out. We've got a question from JMVP. He says, FanDuel single entry, Tim, Ober, Miller, or Anderson? Ober, Miller, or Anderson?
Not Anderson. So I would go. That's tough. I guess I'd go Ober.
Okay.
Yeah. B.
Scott says, are you a perennial guy, Roth, or are you starting fresh each season? It depends. It depends what we're talking about. A little bit of both. I mix it up. I am a big plant guy. We just got that RotoGrinders notification that the Twins game will be delayed, as expected. So that's all good. Let's see if you got any questions. Bring them in. Day says, Tim, what batters do you like from the A's? Great question.
Yeah, so definitely Butler. Rooker is fine. Blade and probably Seth Brown at 2,900 is also really strong.
Okay, great. TJ, we got a couple questions for you. B. Scott saying, Rock didn't know who Bobby Witt was 3 weeks ago, but I do now. Is that
true, Kevin?
It's sort of true. Like I had heard the name, but literally, if
you had to know who he is just because you like that's.
I don't watch baseball.
But that's Cheese's favorite play every night.
Yeah, right. I know the name based on doing this, but if you gave me a lineup of 5 faces and one of them was Bobby Witt and the other,
I couldn't. For what it's worth, I couldn't either. I have no idea what he looks like.
Yeah, I have zero idea what that man looks like. So you could say I do not know who he is. Richie says, any chance that Minnesota gets postponed? Like, yes, but no. Is there a chance? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? And do I think that should be something that you plan for? No, I think just play it. I think the game's going to play. So that's that's where I stand. I'm sticking to my guns there. What else do we got? King says, by the way, Bobby Witt Jr. going over. He's going over tonight. We shall see. TJ, unreleased Lo-Fi Music says, on FanDuel, would you prefer Seager or Witt in cash?
Seager, if I can, sorry, Witt if I can get up to him, but I think Seager's a little cheaper.
Okay. Thomas says, TJ, game theory question. Is the old theory of always paying up for top pitchers on FanDuel over and paying down is now the way to go? He notes that he can only play FanDuel in Oregon.
It's always slate dependent, always has been, always will be, but I would say more often than not, I do spend down for pitcher now than I used to.
Any reasoning for that? Is it just a lack of true dominant killer aces?
There are a few, like when Skeens is on the slate, I'm doubling the field on him whenever I can.
Yeah.
But like, there's something like, I think 2 right now, former Cy Young pitchers on active rosters. Like that's it. Like one of them is Blake Snell, who has barely been played. Like there are and Zach Wheeler, maybe the other one. Like that was, I don't know if that stat rings true right now because I heard it earlier in the season. So a few guys might have come back from the injured list, but there just aren't the Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, where it seems like there'd be 4 to 5 to 6 32+ K pitchers on like throughout the week, like playing in the MLB, and now there's just not that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Strider, like obviously.
Yeah. Let's see. In single entry, Tim, if you had to pick one of Kansas City or the Red Sox were your favorite stack, but maybe ownership wise, you would think otherwise.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I think if you want to fade some ownership, go with Kansas City. But they're both great.
Okay. Tim Allen says Green or Houck on DK.
So those are my 2 pitchers in single entry right now. So I love them both. Green is safer, but I love them both.
Okay. Devin says, TJ, how do you feel about Lorenzen tonight? The White Sox are pretty much a community college team. That's a fair point. They are not good. Can we play Lorenzen, TJ?
Problem is he's pretty much a community college pitcher.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't help.
He's fine, but I'm not playing him. No.
Okay. Any relation to the hefty lefty? Was it Jared Lorenzen, the quarterback? Am I making things up?
Maybe.
We need to Google that. Someone Google that. Maybe they're related. I don't know. Oh, what do we got here? Joe says, hey, TJ, Cal Raleigh and Ohtani or Will Smith and Freeman in a DK GPP?
Will Smith and Freeman.
Tim, any thoughts on a giant stack for all the monies on DK?
I don't really love that.
Okay. Matt Smith says, Tim, your favorite first baseman, DK cash, 3,600 or less.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be Nathaniel Lowe. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, I'd go Nathaniel Lowe.
Okay. Goombas, great screen name. Goombas 3040 says, TJ, I don't know if I missed it, but what are your expectations for River Ryan?
I don't have any. I have absolutely no idea. It's his first start. I'm not playing them, and I don't play San Francisco essentially ever. So,
okay. Tim, do you have any expectations for River Ryan?
I think he's a decent pitcher, but I think he's going to be limited to about 70 to 75 pitches. So he's got a limited ceiling this evening.
Okay. All right. TJ, your top pitching options in FanDuel tournaments and single entry. So your favorite pitchers on FanDuel, essentially.
Cole Ragans would be number 1. Let me just switch my lineup HQ over to FanDuel quick just to make sure I'm not leading people astray via the prices. But Cole Ragans, I think, is still probably my number 1, even though he's really expensive. Green would be my top op. I mean, no, 99 at 9,900. I would be looking to go Cole Ragans if I'm spending up, or if I'm trying to spend down, Tobias Myers or Blake Snell. But $7,400 Blake Snell would be my single entry pitcher if I was playing on FanDuel.
Nice. Okay. Tim kind of nodding in agreement there.
I really like Blake Snell on FanDuel.
Yeah. Okay.
I like
our guy
Butthole
Jenkins.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, our guy Butthole says, hey, Tim, is Reagan's not going to be chalk tonight? Is Reagan's not going to be chalk tonight?
He's going to be somewhat popular for sure. Let me double check his ownership. He's gonna be 16%. I mean, that's not crazy. That's the fifth highest projected ownership.
Okay. Hammer says, do either host like Javier or do I have my head up my ass side? Tim, does he have his head up his side?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
I would go Myers or Snell in that price range.
Okay.
I think he just wanted to make the joke.
I did.
Yeah,
I did. We all wanted it. T9 says the highest pinch hit risk on Boston. TJ, do you have maybe the bat or some other pinch hit?
It's Romy Gonzalez and
it's Westbrook. It's
Westbrook and Gonzalez.
TJ.
Those are the two you really got to worry about. Everybody else should be fine.
Okay, great. TJ, your favorite second baseman in a DKGPP? What do you got?
Jorge Polanco.
Okay. Oh, I've been missing some questions on the Discord. My bad, guys. Let's get back to that. FanDuel GPPs. TJ, do you like Marte as at second as a last piece no stack?
Nope.
Okay. Tim, your favorite no-run first inning. Your favorite NRFI on the main slate. I love this.
I've never been asked that question before.
Well, now you have.
I don't know any of the odds though.
Yeah,
that makes it pretty tough.
Yeah.
So I would say if I had to pick one, I'd go. Man, this is not a question I was prepared for. Go Angels Mariners.
Very nice. Okay.
I would say Atlanta and Cincinnati.
Those must be pretty good odds, right?
I haven't looked, if I'm being honest. I just think two of the better pitchers on the slate in the same game.
Yeah.
Okay. DK Cash at short, TJ Seager or Adames?
Seager.
NBA DFS is TJ your favorite pitcher in FanDuel Cash?
I guess Bryce Miller. For Cash.
Yeah. You don't like it though. Tim, Texas stack or Oakland stack on a FanDuel single entry?
I like both quite a bit. I'm really high on Texas today. I'm high on Oakland too, so I guess I'd stick with Texas, but I like both.
Okay. FanDuel single entry, Tim. Jake Myers, Dylan Moore, or Robles Robert?
I'd go the first one.
Okay. He does have Bregman in this lineup. I don't know if that changes things.
I think I'd still go the first one.
Okay, great. DK Cash. Tim, I'll come right back to you since it's a cash question. Altuve, Ruff Schneider, or Polanco O'Neill?
It's Polanco O'Neill.
Okay. Scrolling up a little bit into the YouTube. By the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up for us yet on YouTube, please do. It's I'm not asking you to pay. And if you are, just $19.99 for 3 days. But hit the thumbs up. That's free. It's just a way of saying thanks. LMI says, Roth, are pitchers in Atlanta okay? The answer there is essentially probably, but there's no way to really know because there's going to be a few pop-up showers, an isolated storm. Like there's nothing around the ballpark now. But as we move through the game, something could potentially pop up. I would play pitchers in Atlanta and just hope it works out because it probably will. On DK, Tim, which team would make a great three-man stack to go with Boston? Good question, Tim.
I'd say Oakland or Texas.
Okay.
For what it's worth, they are pretty expensive. Seattle does pair very well as a mini stack with them.
Okay. Jared, can you all hear my kids screaming in the background or no? Yes, no, that's good. Jerry says 2,800 FanDuel cash in the util. I have 4 Boston bats.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, or sorry,
they're looking for a $2,800 player that's not from Boston.
Gonna beat you, Tim. I'm switching to FanDuel. I'm gonna beat you.
Well, I'm not agreeing with the bat here, so that's what's taking me a minute. I'd go Jake Myers.
I would probably go. I'd be totally fine with Jake Myers. I would probably go Rhys Hoskins myself. Let's see. Horrible choices. DK large field tourney. Chris Taylor or Brandon Drury. Tim.
Ooh, I don't like either one of those, but I guess I would go Drury.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks, TJ.
Oh, Roth's back. No problem.
Appreciate it. DKGPP, Bangaliers and Yelich, TJ, or Contreras and Buxton?
Bangaliers and Yelich.
Okay. TJ Diego says some great low played pitchers for money tournaments.
It's Snell.
Okay. I like that.
Snell and Tobias Myers.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Tim, outfield 3,100. What do you got?
I will go with. Well, this is tough. There's a couple good ones here.
Is that the FanDuel Cash one?
Yeah,
This is FanDuel Cash. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Probably
that
Ref
one.
Snyder, eh?
Probably refs. Yeah, I just go ref Slander.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Hammer says, hey, great looking kid. Thank you. Obviously. Come on. No, thank you. Got the mom's good looks. What do we got? Which three are you starting a Philly stack with? That's a fun question. Tim, if you're starting a Philly stack, which three are you starting with?
Well, definitely Schwarber. That would definitely be the first one, and then I would go probably Harper, and then somebody kind of cheap. Maybe Real Muto at 4,500.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Tim, right back to you. FanDuel Cash, Real Muto, Wong. I'm sorry. This is just someone at catcher first base. Real Muto, Wong, or Contreras.
They're all great. I'd probably just go with Wong.
Okay. TJ FanDuel, single entry. My main stack is Oakland and mini stack Boston with or without Devers. What do you think? Is it too chalky to have Devers in?
Nope. You play Devers.
I like it. TJ, your favorite cheap second baseman from ASAP Chargers. Tim, you had a guy that you said wasn't there a dirt cheap guy you're playing there at second? Or no?
Yeah, the Baldwin guy for what? Brooks Baldwin for Chicago. Min Price batting 8th.
There you go. TJ's Benintendi okay in cash?
No, never.
Okay. FanDuel Cash. TJ, favorite play 3,100 or under at the util spot?
I just switched it back to DraftKings on my lineup HQ. Probably Ref Snyder if you don't have him, just because I would say in cash you're playing 4 Red Sox no matter what. But Vinny P would be my next choice.
Okay. Sherman's Tank says Seager or Tuve. FanDuel Cash last spot, Tim. Seager or Tuve?
I'm going Seager. They're both great, though.
Maryi Donyeezy says, Tim, Red Sox, KC, and Astros. Of those three teams, which two would you stack? So you have to kick out one of Red Sox, KC, Astros.
I say you take a chance easy and just go KC and Astros.
Nice. Okay. Anthony says, Tim, is fading a Boston stack crazy? Is it crazy to not play Boston?
It's never crazy to fade anything in baseball.
Yep. TJ, Snell or Miller? I feel like we're Snellers.
Yeah, we're Snellers. Miller and Cash, Snell in tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're all Snellers on this board, boys. Devin says, TJ, guess I'm playing green and single entry. I hate using pitchers against my former coach, Kevin Seitzer, hitting coach for the Braves. Oh, well, hopefully that goes well for you. Also, good to know you're good at baseball.
I think he meant like for his team. Like, I think he's a big Royals fan.
Oh, I thought it was actually his former coach. We need to know, Devin.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's a big Royals fan, and I think that would probably be the Royals' former hitting coach.
Wow. Okay, let us know.
Which, of course, doesn't matter in your stacks.
Yeah. The most important
But if it's his own former hitting coach, that's cool.
Yeah. Let us know, Devin. Which is it? The biggest question of the day, any big dumper out there? Any dumper?
I think he's a great play, and he's going to be 2% on DK.
And he can hit 2 bombs. We know that. He can hit 2 bombs often. DK GPP, TJ, play Ober or pay an extra 200 for Hawk 2. Tanner Houck, I think, is.
Yeah, I like Houck better.
Okay. FanDuel single entry.
I mean,
TJ
I hate that joke so much. I think it got so overplayed so
really
quick
did.
and just like
That's the downside.
was never funny in the first place.
That's the downside of like us being so connected and social media being so prominent and in everyone's face, is that if something even remotely funny happens, and I agree, it wasn't even very funny, it's just jammed down your throat to an obnoxious level by like day 2. They're like, please make it stop. I can't hang. Let's see. FanDuel single entry. TJ, which Texas players in a mini stack?
Smith, Seager, and Langford.
Devin coming in. That it was actually his coach, Kevin Seitzer. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your coach's name. He also did coach for the Royals, so we were all correct there. Pretty neat. Oh, Robert, I see what you. Yeah, Robert, well done. You got me there. Hey, guess what? We've done it. We've answered all the questions. My kids are absolutely melting down. I'm sweating profusely because nothing stresses me out more than that when I'm on a show. So I think we're going to bounce on out of here a few minutes prior to lock. I will post updates weather-wise, but I don't think there's anything truly to update. I think you roll the dice on pitchers in Atlanta, and it likely works out, but not definitely. And I think they're going to play ball in Minnesota after a late start. With that, we're going to get on out of here. So for TJ, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.